Hello and welcome to Safety Tavern's video on electrical safety. This is not a class that is intended for electricians. Yeah, that's right. This is a class that is intended for either A, it's the new person on the job as an electrician, right? It's his first week or her first week. This is intended for you. Or the other trades, the other people that are coming around us. If you're an electrician and you've been an electrician for any kind of amount of time, you should already know every bit of this. I shouldn't be telling you anything new. Also, this is not going to be an NFPA 70E class. This is not going to be a NEC class. I'm not focusing on the actual trade of electrical work. So please understand me. What I'm talking about with this is going to be generic electrical safety. Okay, does that make sense? So if you're an electrician and this class feels like an elementary class, well, it's supposed to be. It's intended to be. So if you're an electrician also and you learned something from this video, you need to talk to your foreman because that foreman was supposed to have already told you all of this stuff. Let's get right into some of these regulations. First and foremost, this class will not make you an electrician. What this class is designed to do is to give all employees a generic electrical safety awareness. That way when you see something, you know there's something wrong. In the end, you need to be talking to the competent person for your company, for your job site that's in charge of you and discussing these issues. That is where you'll get your overall training from. But let's look at some unsafe situations. This is unsafe. 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 Well, this is more of a compliance violation, but technically it goes against OSHA regulations. That makes it unsafe. Let's get into some regulations to figure out exactly where the government told us that this was all unsafe. 1926-403 Bravo 1 Examination. The employer shall ensure that electrical equipment is free from recognized hazards that are likely to cause death or serious physical harm to employees. Safety of equipment shall be determined on the basis of the following considerations, and then it goes into a list. Notice here it says the employer, not the electricians on site, not the GC electrical superintendent. It says the employer. Whoever you are employed by, whoever the company employer is, they shall ensure that electrical equipment is free from recognized hazards. 1926-403 Bravo 2 Installation and use. Listed, labeled, or certified equipment shall be installed and used in accordance with instructions included in the listing, labeling, or certification. Remember whenever I said this one's like a certification or a compliance issue, they used the wrong screw? This is where that issue is, because that screw right there has to be UL listed because it's being used with the UL listed part. So that whole assembly has to have the right screws. You cannot just grab some screw off the ground or in your bucket and throw it in when it comes to electricity. You cannot do that. 1926-403 I2III entrances to rooms and other guarded locations containing exposed live parts shall be marked with conspicuous warning signs forbidding unqualified persons to enter. Pretty simple. Electrical rooms, make sure you have signage up. 1926-416 Bravo 2 working spaces, walkways, and similar locations shall be kept clear of cords so as not to create a hazard to employees. Keep your dadgum cords out of the walkways. 1926-416 Echo 1 worn or frayed electric cords or cables shall not be used. 1926-416 Echo 2 eccentric cords shall not be fastened with staples, hung from nails, or suspended by wire. Pretty simple. 1926-20 Bravo accident prevention responsibilities. Bravo 1. It shall be the responsibility of the employer to initiate and maintain such programs as may be necessary to comply with this part. Bravo 2. Such programs shall provide for frequent and regular inspections of the job sites, materials, and equipment to be made by competent persons designated by the employers. So why are we talking about this? Pretty simple, because every single power tool or major piece of equipment that you have on that job site most likely has some form of a user manual, safety manual that came along with it. And most of those manuals have got some form of a inspect this piece of equipment every X amount of days. And that is why we're looking at who is supposed to inspect it and where does OSHA tell you to do the inspection. And this is right here. 1926-404 Bravo 1I General. The employer shall use either ground fault circuit interrupters as specified in paragraph Bravo 1II of this section, or an assured equipment grounding conductor program as specified in paragraph B1III of this section to protect employees on construction sites. These requirements are in addition to any other requirements for equipment grounding conductors. So you got two choices. You can either use GFCIs or you have to switch over to the assured grounding program, which is like an inventory of all the cords, and they're all sets and like to be inspected on regular frequencies and all kinds of stuff. So this is usually the easiest and cheapest option for construction. This is usually the number one violation that I see in job sites. And the way it works is you get the bid for this big job, good to go. At the beginning, no big deal, because the electricians typically set up temporary power that has GFIs built in. But the project moves along and it progresses, and then you get into final stage. And then you get into a room like this, where you have permanent power. You take your extension cord and you try to plug it into this outlet right here on the wall. So we plug it in, and then this is where the problem is. This is where we've just committed an OSHA violation. This outlet has no GFCI. This breaker has no GFCI. And you already saw where if you're operating under 1926, you have to have either GFCI protection or be on the assured grounding program. The electricians didn't do anything wrong. They're building per building requirements. They don't have to put these things on GFCIs according to 1926-404 Bravo 1II. They're building for permanent power. We're still in the construction phase. You still have to play by 1926 rules. Be careful when you're moving into permanent power. If you need to get a solution, here you go. This is a plug-in GFCI. This is the next most common issue that I find on job sites, and I love you, but my electricians and my plumbers, y'all are the worst about this one. You see, you'll get yourself a cord cap that looks like this. And look here, man, that thing's all twisted over. Somebody must not have known what they were doing when they put this cap on. Well, you'll pull out your fancy Klein pliers and you'll crank that thing over and try to stick it in that outlet. But that's a problem. Cord caps should only be installed by qualified and competent personnel. This being said, take a look at here at the NEMA configurations chart. The cord cap doesn't look crazy for just some crazy reason. There is actually a voltage versus amperage layout of what the cord cap needs to look like, as well as what the receptacle that it can be received in should look like. Feel free to take a picture here. Stop damaging your cord caps because you don't understand why it looks the way it does. The next significant problem in basic electrical safety for overall construction is a tester, a voltage meter. This is nicknamed the Widowmaker, and one of the reasons it is because it only detects alternating current. It does not detect direct current. The difference in AC versus DC is AC comes from a power generator, DC is stored up in a battery somewhere. If you're going to use a tester, make sure you understand the limitations of it, including the voltage. So when you see me using this tester right here, what I have done is I have discussed with the electricians. I know the path from the power generator all the way to the actual outlet on the wall. All of the power in that room, I've confirmed that there is no DC power in this room. I know the voltage that is coming into this room, as well as I know the voltage my tester can handle, and that is where I can take a test and tell if there's electricity on. This is within the qualifications of my job, that I have been deemed qualified and competent to be able to do these things. Supervisor, you may need to test things like this in order to check to make sure that the room your employees are going to be in is safe for your employees to be in. Now, I cannot, using this video, I cannot render anybody to be a qualified or a competent person. That is for your company to do. But if you are qualified and competent according to your company to test electrical for your employees, luckily I know a couple of places that do sell testers, and they should be right down the block from where you're at. One of the other options that a lot of job sites have available to them is Call the electrical group that's actually on the job site doing construction work. Call them. Ask them to come take a look. Ask them to make sure that the room is safe. Pretty simple, right? If this guy shows up, this is not an electrician. If these guys show up, these are electricians. This is what they look like. They'll come in, make sure the room's safe for you. And you, being the competent person for your company, need to be there the entire time and witness that they're actually making sure everything's safe, because it's your responsibility, not theirs. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll see you in the next one.